hung low over the forest, its silver light spilling across the jagged rocks and twisted trees. Luna moved quietly through the shadows, her bare feet barely touching the frost-covered ground. Her cloak, once vibrant and warm, was now torn and faded, brushing against the branches as she walked. She felt the weight of her past pressing on her chest, the memory of a love that had promised everything and delivered nothing. She remembered Cale. His smile had once been her sunrise, his voice the gentle pull that made the world feel safe. They had been fated mates, bound by a bond older than memory, one that was said to be unbreakable, but he had abandoned her, leaving her in the cold while he returned to his pack, leaving only silence and heartbreak behind. Luna had wandered since then, lost in grief, a shadow of the wolf she had once been. Her journey had led her here, to the forgotten corners of the forest, where whispers spoke of an ancient temple. Legends told of it as a place where the spirits of alpha queens lingered, offering guidance, power, or curses to those brave or desperate enough to enter. Luna hesitated at its edge. The stones were cracked and worn, and ivy climbed like veins over its walls. It looked abandoned, yet she could feel a pulse, faint but insistent, drawing her closer. "I have nothing left to lose," she whispered to herself. She stepped inside, the air heavy with the scent of earth and magic. The hall was enormous, shadowed, with carvings of past alphas etched into every wall. Their eyes seemed to follow her as she moved, watching, judging, yet somehow acknowledging her presence. At the center, an obelisk of dark stone rose toward the ceiling, pulsating faintly with a silver light that seemed alive. Luna approached it cautiously, her heart hammering in her chest. A voice, soft and ethereal, echoed through the chamber. "Luna," she froze. The sound was familiar, yet it carried an ancient power that made her knees weak. "Who's there?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "I am she who came before," the voice replied. And from the shadows a figure began to materialize, a woman tall and regal, cloaked in the glow of the moonlight, her eyes like frozen stars. She radiated power, authority, and a quiet sorrow. "You have suffered betrayal, abandonment, and loss. But you have survived. That is why you are here." Luna's hands clenched at her sides. "I am broken," she said. "I am nothing now," the spirit shook her head. "You are not nothing. You are a Luna. Blood of the Alpha flows in your veins. Power sleeps in your heart, waiting for the moment to awaken. But to claim it, you must choose. Embrace the shadows and rise, or fade into the night as a ghost." The words hit her like a storm. Luna had wandered lost for months, haunted by memories of Cale, by the whispers of other wolves who pitied her, laughed at her, or had forgotten her altogether. But here in this temple, she felt a spark she hadn't known in a long time. A fire that could burn away the pain, the humiliation, and the emptiness. Luna began, but hesitation rooted her to the ground. "And if I fail?" The spirit's eyes softened, yet their glow did not dim. "Then you will remain broken. But if you succeed, you will become more than anyone ever imagined. You will be feared. You will be remembered." Luna closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. The memories of Cale's face, his words, the warmth that had abandoned her, surged in her mind. Pain and anger intertwined, making her hands shake. Slowly, she reached toward the obelisk, placing her fingers on the cold black stone. The moment she touched it, a surge of energy coursed through her, strong and electric, filling her veins with fire and ice at once. Her body trembled as visions flashed in her mind. Visions of herself standing tall over armies of wolves, of Cale looking up at her in awe, of shadows bending to her will. The power was intoxicating, overwhelming, yet it felt right. For the first time since he had left, she felt alive. "You are ready," the spirit whispered, fading into the darkness. "Go, Luna, take what is yours." When the echo of the voice faded, Luna staggered back, her heart racing. She could feel the change inside her, subtle at first but undeniable. Her senses sharpened. The sound of the wind through the trees, the distant rustle of prey, the faintest heartbeat of creatures hiding in the night. Her vision adjusted to the darkness as if the shadows themselves bent to her will. A faint smile tugged at her lips. She was no longer the fragile mate who had been abandoned. She was rising, stronger than she had ever been. A Luna tempered by pain and fueled by anger. Hours passed as she explored the temple, discovering its hidden chambers and relics, each imbued with magic that responded to her presence. She found weapons, armor, and scrolls of ancient knowledge, all attuned to the Alpha within her. Every step she took, she felt the pull of destiny, the weight of history pressing her forward. When she finally emerged from the temple, the forest seemed different. The wind whispered her name, the shadows bowed in recognition, and the creatures of the night observed her with newfound respect. Luna lifted her head to the moon, letting the cold light wash over her. She was reborn, not as the mate who had been left behind, but as something greater, something powerful, something to be feared. But even in her newfound strength, a flicker of doubt remained. Could she truly confront Kale? Could she face the past without letting it consume her entirely? The questions lingered, twisting in her chest like thorns, but they no longer stopped her. They would guide her, sharpen her, prepare her for the path ahead. As the first hints of dawn touched the horizon, Luna moved with purpose. She would return to the lands that had rejected her. She would reclaim what was taken, and she would rise as the Alpha Queen, the one no one could ignore, the one no one could challenge. And Kale would see what he had lost. Her journey had begun, and the forest seemed to bend before her, alive with anticipation. Every rustle, every shadow, every heartbeat reminded her that she was not just walking back into the world. She was returning as a force to be reckoned with. A storm wrapped in moonlight, a Luna forged by fire and betrayal. Yet, even as she stepped into the night, a low, distant growl echoed through the trees, a reminder that power alone would not make her invincible. Somewhere in the darkness, eyes watched her, measuring, waiting, and perhaps already plotting against her. Luna paused, sensing the danger, but did not falter. She had endured pain far greater than this. She would endure what came next as well. Her lips curved into a determined smile, cold yet radiant. "Let them come," she whispered. "I am no longer the broken Luna. I am the Luna they will fear." And in that moment, under the moon's silver gaze, the forest seemed to hold its breath. Somewhere beyond the trees, shadows shifted, and a low, hungry howl answered hers. The stage was set. The Alpha Queen was rising, and nothing, not even fate itself, would stand in her way. The forest was quiet, but it no longer felt like a prison. Every leaf, every shadow seemed to recognize Luna's presence. Her steps were light but purposeful, her eyes sharp, scanning the paths she once roamed as a lost and lonely mate. Now she walked with confidence, her senses alert to every movement, every sound. The power she had claimed in the ancient temple still pulsed through her veins, a steady rhythm of strength and clarity. She paused on a hill overlooking her former pack's territory. The village lay below, small and vulnerable, unaware of the storm returning to claim it. Luna remembered the days she had run through these woods, chasing after Kale, trying to understand why he had left. Every memory stung like a cold wind, yet instead of breaking her, they fueled her. She had been betrayed, yes, but now she was beyond sorrow. She was beyond fear. The first of the exiles found her at dawn. A wolf, larger than any she had ever seen, approached with caution. Its coat was gray, streaked with silver, and its eyes were wary but intelligent. Luna stopped and lowered her hand. The wolf sniffed the air, circling her, sensing the power she carried. Then slowly it bowed its head in respect. "You are not like the others," it seemed to say. Luna nodded silently. She had always known she would lead, but leadership required more than strength. It required loyalty, respect, and understanding. And already she could sense it stirring in the exiles who would follow her. By midday, a small group had gathered. Wolves and humans alike, cast out by rival clans, betrayed by their own, or seeking a purpose, found themselves drawn to Luna. She did not speak much at first. Her presence alone commanded attention. They watched her, some with fear, some with hope, as if she were a living legend returned to life. One of them, a young hunter named Kalen, stepped forward. "You are Luna," he said, voice trembling slightly. "We've heard the stories. Of the mate abandoned, the girl left to the night." Luna's eyes met his, sharp and unyielding. "I am not the girl you have heard about," she said. "I am the Alpha you will follow, or you will step aside." Her words were like a blade cutting through doubt and hesitation. By evening, the exiles had formed a small pack around her, loyal not because of her birthright, but because of the power and certainty she exuded. Luna felt a surge of pride, but it was tempered by the awareness that this was only the beginning. Power attracted attention, sometimes dangerous attention, and the first sign of that attention came sooner than she expected. From the shadows of a nearby ridge, a figure watched her. Kyle. His eyes, dark and conflicted, traced her movements. He had heard rumors of a woman returning to the forest, of a presence unlike any before. At first he thought it was a ghost, a memory of what had been. But now, seeing her in the flesh, he realized that the Luna he had abandoned was gone. In her place stood a queen, commanding and untouchable, radiating strength he could not ignore. Cale's hands clenched at his sides. He wanted to speak, to approach her, but the fear of rejection and the reminder of the past kept him at a distance. She had been broken once. Would she forgive him, or would she destroy him with the very power he had helped to awaken? Meanwhile, Luna's nights were restless, filled with dreams of fire and shadow. She saw visions of the rival alphas who once mocked her, the whispers of betrayal that had surrounded her, and the face of Cale, always just out of reach. Each dream left her trembling yet stronger. She began training with her new pack, teaching them to move as one, to fight with precision and strategy. Her senses guided them, her instincts sharpened them. One night, as the moon bathed the forest in silver, Luna walked along a cliff edge overlooking the valley. The wind tugged at her hair and the distant howl of wolves echoed through the trees. She closed her eyes, feeling the pulse of the land beneath her feet, the heartbeat of the forest and the subtle whisper of her ancestors. She was no longer afraid. A rustle behind her made her spin. Kalen, the young hunter, stepped into the moonlight. "The others want to know when we will strike," he said. "The rival alphas are weak, divided." "They won't expect you." Luna nodded. "They won't, but we strike only when we are ready. Power is wasted if used too soon." Her voice carried authority, a command that did not require force. Kalen nodded, his respect for her growing. Others in the pack were watching, learning that strength was not only in claws and teeth, but in patience, in strategy, in knowing when to move and when to wait. And yet, even in her rising power, the thought of Cale lingered. He was no longer a mate, no longer a memory she could safely ignore. He was a question, a shadow in her mind that refused to leave. She hated him, yet part of her longed to see if the bond that had once tied them could be mended, or if it was forever broken. It was that night that Cale finally stepped closer, revealing himself at the edge of the camp. He did not approach the center where she stood. Instead, he stayed in the shadows, letting the moonlight fall across his face. Luna sensed him immediately, a flicker of emotion she could not hide rising in her chest. "You have changed," Kyle said quietly, voice carrying across the clearing. "You are more than I could have imagined." Luna did not reply at once. She watched him, her eyes narrowed, measuring his intentions. "Why are you here?" she asked finally. "To witness my rise or to undo it?" Cale's jaw tightened. "I came because I should have been here before. Because I failed you. I can't undo the past, but I am here now." Her lips pressed together, a storm of anger, pain, and uncertainty swirling within her. The forest was quiet, waiting for her answer. She could feel the eyes of her pack upon her, sensing the tension between them. And she knew that how she chose to respond could determine not just her heart, but the loyalty of those who followed her. Before she could speak, a howl cut through the night, a challenge from the rival alpha daring them to show their strength. Luna turned her gaze to the horizon, seeing a faint light flicker through the trees, marking the approach of those who sought to challenge her. Cale stepped closer, his presence a mix of caution and resolve. "Whatever happens," he said, "I am with you. If you let me." Luna's heart beat faster, but her face remained unreadable. She had survived betrayal, abandonment, and loneliness. She had claimed power that no one had thought she could wield. And now, she faced a choice that could either heal her or shatter her completely. The night stretched on, filled with tension and anticipation. Wolves stirred in the darkness, her pack sharpening their claws, ready to defend the alpha who had returned from the shadows. Luna felt the power inside her pulse in time with the heartbeat of the forest. She was no longer a broken mate. She was a leader. She was fearsome, and she was ready to reclaim what was hers. The first light of dawn touched the forest when the rival alpha's army emerged from the trees. Shadows moved like liquid, flickering under the rising sun. Luna stepped forward, her pack forming around her like a wall of steel and fur. Cale stayed at her side, his presence steady, a reminder that the past could not be erased, but the future could be shaped. Luna raised her head, eyes gleaming, as the rival alpha drew closer. Her voice carried over the clearing, strong and commanding. "This land, this forest, this pack, they are mine. Step forward if you dare and face the Alpha Queen. The rival faltered at her words, sensing the power radiating from her. But before the first battle could begin, a strange glow erupted from Luna's body. A silver light, pure and blinding, flowing from the mark on her chest, the symbol of her true Alpha spirit. The forest seemed to respond, trees bending slightly, shadows swirling, creatures of the night observing in awe. Luna's heart surged with both fear and exhilaration. She had felt this power awaken in the temple, but now it was fully hers, controlled by her will and her determination. She could feel the strength of her ancestors coursing through her veins. She was no longer the abandoned mate. She was the Alpha Queen, feared and unstoppable. The rival Alpha stared, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. Luna's pack growled, circling, ready to strike. The world seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the moment when history would remember the rise of the Alpha Queen. And in the shadows, Kale's eyes glimmered with both awe and regret, knowing that what they were about to witness would change everything. The forest had grown restless. Birds fled the trees and the wind carried whispers of something greater approaching. Luna stood at the edge of the clearing, her eyes scanning the horizon. The rival Alpha's forces had gathered, dozens of wolves moving as one, their leader stepping forward with a glare that matched her own. The moonlight reflected off her silver cloak, making her appear larger than life. Every breath she drew felt like a promise, every heartbeat a drum of war. Her pack, loyal and ready, flanked her, their growls a warning to anyone who dared challenge her claim. The rival Alpha, a tall wolf with fur as black as midnight, stepped closer, his gaze locked on Luna. So? The stories were true, he said. The abandoned mate has returned, and now she thinks she can lead. Luna's eyes narrowed, her voice calm yet cutting. I do not think, I know. This forest, this pack, this land, it belongs to the Alpha who commands it. And that is me. A murmur ran through the rivals' forces. Some hesitated, uncertain of challenging the display of power before them. Luna's eyes swept across the clearing, noticing the subtle falter in their stance. Power was not only in strength, it was in presence, in certainty. She felt the energy of the temple still coursing through her, steady and controlled, and it gave her courage beyond measure. Kyle stood at the edge of the clearing, watching. He wanted to step forward to join her, but something held him back. He had left her once, and the memory of that betrayal still weighed heavily on both of them. Yet seeing her now, strong, unyielding, and radiant, he realized the depth of what he had lost. The Luna he had abandoned was no longer just his mate. She was a queen, and he could not ignore her. The rival Alpha barked an order, and his forces surged forward. Luna's pack met them in perfect harmony, a wall of teeth, claws, and precision. Yet Luna did not fight immediately. She lifted her hand, sending a wave of energy through the clearing. A silver glow emanated from her, causing the rival wolves to hesitate, their confidence shaken. Luna had learned from the temple. Power alone could strike fear before battle began. The fight erupted, a clash of bodies and wills, but Luna remained at the center, calm and focused. She moved with the grace of a predator, her instincts guiding her pack. Every strike, every maneuver was calculated, a display of both strength and leadership. Her exiles had never been stronger, bound to her not just by fear but by respect and trust. Through the chaos, Kale watched, torn between pride and pain. He wanted to help, to fight by her side, but he knew that this was her battle. She had been abandoned, betrayed, and scorned, yet here she was, commanding forces, commanding destiny itself. His own strength would only follow where she led. Finally, Luna faced the rival Alpha directly. They circled each other, eyes locked, each reading the other's movements. Her silver glow clashed against his black fur like night against moonlight. She could feel his power, raw and untamed, yet he was unprepared for the control, the precision, and the depth of hers. You are strong, he growled, but strength alone does not make an Alpha. I am more than strength, Luna replied, her voice steady. I am purpose. I am the fire that burns through betrayal. I am the Alpha you were warned about. He lunged, claws extended, but she anticipated every movement. With a sweep of her hand, the energy from the temple flared, forcing him back. Her pack followed her lead, surrounding him until he had no choice but to retreat. Luna stepped forward, her presence overwhelming, leaving him trembling in awe and fear. The rival Alpha's forces scattered into the shadows, defeated not just by power, but by the certainty and confidence Luna exuded. She had reclaimed her land without shedding unnecessary blood. Her pack looked to her with reverence, and Luna felt the weight of their loyalty settle around her like armor. Yet victory was only part of the challenge. Cal finally stepped forward, moving closer than he had dared since her return. His eyes searched hers, seeking forgiveness, understanding, or perhaps a hint that the bond they once shared still lingered. "You were magnificent," he said quietly, almost reverently. I never realized what I left behind." Luna's gaze did not soften, but it did not harden entirely. "What you left behind was pain, Cale, and pain is not something easily forgotten." "I know," he admitted, his voice carrying the weight of regret. "And I do not expect forgiveness. I am here to help if you allow me, to stand with you, not above or before you." Luna considered him carefully. She had been broken once, abandoned by the one she trusted most. But she also understood that power, wisdom, and survival were forged through trials. Cale had returned willingly, unbound by coercion, and that mattered. But trust was earned, and she would not give it freely. The forest held a tense silence as she studied him, her heart a mixture of residual hurt and cautious hope. Finally she spoke. "We will need each other if we are to survive what is coming. But know this, I am the Alpha now. Your place is beside me, not above me." Kyle nodded, a quiet acceptance passing through his eyes. "I understand," he said. "I will follow as you command." Even as they formed this fragile alliance, Luna could feel the stirrings of a greater threat. Dark forces, older than memory, watched from the shadows. There were whispers of enemies who would not accept her rise, who sought to claim power for themselves. Her victory over the rival Alpha was only the beginning. A larger battle loomed on the horizon. Over the following days, Luna trained her pack relentlessly. She taught them to move as one, to trust in her commands, and to harness the energy she channeled from the temple. The bond between Cale and Luna grew stronger, though careful boundaries remained. They were allies now, tied by necessity and cautious trust rather than love alone. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of blood and gold, Luna stood atop a hill with Cale at her side. The forest below was calm, yet Luna could feel the tension in the air, the heartbeat of the land, alert to danger. "They will not give up," Kyle said, his voice low. "There are forces beyond this forest, ancient powers waiting to test you." Luna nodded, her silver eyes reflecting the fading light. "I know, but I am ready. I have endured betrayal, abandonment, and despair. Nothing will stop me now." Cale studied her for a long moment, admiration and worry in his gaze. "You are no longer the Luna I knew. You have become something extraordinary, something no one can challenge easily." A soft wind rustled through the trees as if affirming his words. Luna felt the pulse of the forest again, the subtle energy that had guided her since the temple. Her power was growing, and with it, her understanding of her purpose. She was not only reclaiming her past, she was shaping the future. But even as confidence settled in her heart, a shadow moved at the edge of her vision. Luna turned, senses alert, and saw a figure watching from the trees. Another rival, one cloaked in darkness, whose intent was unclear. The eyes glowed faintly, calculating, patient, waiting for the right moment to strike. Luna's lips curved into a determined smile. She had faced betrayal before, and she had risen from it stronger. Whatever waited in the shadows would learn that the broken Luna was gone. She was the Alpha Queen now, feared, unstoppable, and ready for any challenge. "Come," she whispered to her pack, her voice carrying over the clearing. "We are not finished. This is only the beginning, and anyone who stands against us will learn the price of challenging the Alpha Queen." The pack growled in response, a unified force of loyalty and strength. Cale stepped closer to her side, a silent promise that he would stand with her, whatever came next. Together they faced the darkness, ready for the trials that lay ahead. And in the depths of the forest, the shadowed figure lingered, watching, plotting, and waiting. The rise of the Alpha Queen had begun, but her greatest challenges were yet to come. The forest felt different now. Shadows moved with a restless energy, and the wind whispered secrets that only Luna could sense. She stood atop a cliff, looking down at the valley below where her pack had grown stronger and more disciplined each day. Her senses were heightened, each rustle of leaves and distant call of a wolf ringing clear in her mind. She had become something beyond a leader. She was a force, a presence that demanded respect, obedience, and awe. Kale stood beside her, silent but alert. He had been with her for weeks now, helping to organize the pack, training and planning for the inevitable confrontations that were sure to come. Their bond was still cautious, tempered by the past, but stronger for it. Luna had learned that power alone was not enough. Alliances, trust, and understanding were equally vital. "Do you feel it?" Kale asked, his voice low. "The energy in the forest." "It's different," Luna nodded. "Yes, it's as if the land itself is watching, waiting. We are not the only ones aware of what has returned." She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the pulse of the forest flow through her. She could feel every heartbeat, every movement of creatures both seen and unseen. There was tension, but also opportunity. Those who underestimated her would pay the price. The days that followed were filled with training and preparation. Luna's pack became a disciplined force, moving as one, anticipating each other's actions, learning to trust the instincts of the Alpha Queen. Luna herself pushed her limits, exploring the depth of the power the temple had awakened within her. Her senses, her reflexes, her strength all had grown. Yet the true test was not only in physical might. It was in strategy, in patience, in knowing when to strike and when to wait. Kale watched her during these sessions, admiration and a subtle worry in his eyes. "You are extraordinary," he said one evening as the sun dipped below the horizon. "I never imagined anyone could wield power like this, let alone maintain control over it." Luna's gaze was distant, thoughtful. "Power is meaningless without purpose. Without control, it destroys everything it touches. That is why I must be careful, Kale. Careful and deliberate." Their moments of quiet reflection were rare but necessary. Each day brought news of distant rivals, of whispers from other territories, of forces gathering to challenge the Alpha Queen. Luna knew that her rise had not gone unnoticed. Those who had once mocked or abandoned her were now watching, waiting for a chance to strike. And some of them were patient enough to wait for months or even years before making their move. One night, as the moon rose full and bright over the forest, Luna sensed movement beyond the clearing. Her instincts flared and she turned sharply. A figure emerged from the shadows, cloaked and silent, eyes glinting in the moonlight. Kale stepped slightly forward, his presence steady, but Luna raised her hand, signaling caution. The figure bowed slightly, a gesture of respect rather than aggression. "I come with a warning," the stranger said, voice calm and deliberate. "There are forces beyond your rivals who seek to challenge you, Luna. Ancient powers bound to old oaths and curses are awakening. They will not wait for your strength. They will test you in ways that will challenge your heart, mind, and soul." Luna's silver eyes narrowed. "I have faced betrayal, abandonment, and despair. I am ready for any test," the stranger shook their head. "You are strong, Alpha Queen, but strength alone will not be enough. You must also face the shadows within yourself. Only then can you lead. Only then can you survive what is coming." Before Luna could respond, the figure slipped back into the darkness, leaving only the whisper of their warning behind. She turned to Kale, her expression serious. "Heed my warning," she said. "This is more than rivals and territory. There are forces at work we do not yet understand." Kale nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. "Whatever comes, we face it together," he said. The next morning, Luna led her pack on a patrol through the valley, testing their strength and cohesion. They moved silently like shadows themselves, yet alert to every sound and motion. Luna could sense the growing tension in the forest, the way the trees seemed to shiver in anticipation. Something was approaching, something that would challenge her in ways no rival ever had. As they returned to their stronghold, a sudden howl split the air, a signal from the rival Alpha challenging her once more. Luna's pack tensed, but she raised her hand to calm them. "We will not fight blindly," she said. "We will prepare, and we will strike with purpose." Kyle stepped close, voice low. "The rival grows impatient. They may force your hand sooner than expected," Luna nodded. "Let them come. We are ready. But I will not act without thought, without strategy. Power is wasted on rashness." That night she walked alone to the cliff, seeking the silence and clarity of the moon. Kale followed at a distance, respecting her need for solitude. Luna closed her eyes, letting the forest and the pulse of her own power guide her thoughts. She could feel the lingering shadows of the past, the memories of Kale's betrayal and the anger that had fueled her rise. But there was something else too, something she had not expected, a flicker of hope, a reminder that not all bonds were broken beyond repair. Cale approached cautiously, his voice gentle. "You have changed," he said. "Stronger than I ever imagined, but do you still feel the old pain?" Luna opened her eyes, silver light reflecting the moon. "Yes," she admitted. "It lingers, but it does not control me. I have learned to use it, to fuel me, not weaken me." Cale nodded, a mix of relief and awe in his eyes. "Then perhaps there is a way forward for both of us, but only if we are honest with each other." Before they could speak further, a distant rumble shook the ground. Trees swayed, and the forest seemed to grow darker, the shadows deepening unnaturally. Luna's senses flared. This was no ordinary rival. This was the force the stranger had warned her about, ancient and patient, now moving toward her territory. She turned to her pack, raising her hand. "Prepare yourselves," she commanded. "This is more than a test of strength. This is a test of our unity, our courage, and our spirit. Stand with me, and we will face what comes." Her pack formed a circle around her, their loyalty unwavering. Kyle stood at her side, his presence a steady anchor amidst the rising storm. Luna lifted her head to the moon, feeling the energy from the temple pulsing within her stronger than ever before. She was no longer the abandoned mate, no longer the broken Luna. She was the Alpha Queen, feared, respected, and unstoppable. And yet, even as she prepared, a shadow moved at the edge of her vision, dark, patient, and calculating. It watched her, measuring her strength, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Luna's heart beat faster, not with fear, but with anticipation. She had faced betrayal, abandonment, and despair. She had risen from it all, stronger and wiser. Whatever this force was, she was ready. The wind shifted, carrying a faint whisper across the clearing. Luna could feel it in her bones, the weight of destiny pressing down on her. She clenched her fists, determination hardening in her chest. She would not fail. She would not falter. She was the Alpha Queen, and this forest, this pack, and her very life depended on her courage, her strength, and her resolve. As the first light of dawn touched the horizon, Luna lifted her head, silver eyes gleaming, and whispered, "Come. Let them see the power of a Luna who has risen from the shadows. Let them see the strength of the Alpha Queen." From the darkness, the shadow shifted, and a low growl echoed through the valley. The forest seemed to hold its breath. The stage was set. The next chapter of Luna's rise and the ultimate test of her heart and power was about to begin. The forest was alive with tension. The air shimmered, thick with the energy of the approaching threat. Shadows moved unnaturally, twisting and stretching in ways that seemed almost conscious, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. Luna stood at the heart of her pack, her silver eyes scanning the darkness. She had faced rivals, betrayal, and the weight of her own pain, but this was different. Cale was at her side, silent, but his presence was a steadying force. They had trained, prepared, and faced the smaller battles together. But now the test was greater. Ancient power was awakening in the forest, drawn by Luna's rise, and it would challenge her not only in strength, but in mind, heart, and spirit. "Stay focused," Luna whispered to her pack. Her voice carried authority, calm and steady. "No matter what comes, we face it as one. Trust me, trust each other, trust the Alpha Queen." The shadow moved closer, revealing a figure cloaked in silver mist. Its eyes glowed like frozen fire, and a low hum of power emanated from it, vibrating through the trees. The stranger from before had warned of ancient forces, but now Luna understood the magnitude of what they had meant. "I am the guardian of the old oaths," the figure said, voice echoing like wind through the valley. "The power you claim is not yours alone. It belongs to the blood of those who came before. To rise fully, you must face the darkness within yourself and prove your worth." Luna lifted her head, silver light glowing faintly from her chest. Her voice was calm yet unyielding. "I have faced abandonment, betrayal, and despair. I have risen from the shadows. If you wish to test me, do so. But know this: I am not the Luna who was left behind. I am the Alpha Queen." The figure's glow flared, casting light across the valley, and the air crackled with energy. The trees shivered, the ground trembled, and Luna felt the full weight of the challenge before her. This was not merely a fight, it was a reckoning, a confrontation with everything she had endured and everything she had become. Cale's hand brushed hers briefly, a silent promise that he would stand with her. "We are ready," he said softly. The forest seemed to explode with movement. Shadows surged, swirling like liquid, forming shapes that twisted and shifted with intent. Luna's pack moved as one, their instincts honed, their trust in her absolute. She could feel every heartbeat, every movement, every breath guiding her decisions. The first wave of the challenge surged forward, shapes of darkness fast and menacing, testing her reflexes and command. Luna's silver glow flared brighter, pushing back the shadows with a force born of will and pain transformed into power. She moved gracefully, striking with precision, every motion a display of control and strategy. Kale fought beside her, his strength a perfect complement, but Luna led, shaping the battle with her presence. Hours passed in a blur of movement and energy. Luna's power pulsed through her, steady, controlled, unwavering. She could feel the ancient forces testing her, probing her limits, but she would not falter. The Luna who had been abandoned, who had wandered lost and broken, was gone. What remained was the Alpha Queen, tempered by pain, strengthened by betrayal and fueled by the fire of her own determination. Then a pause. The shadows recoiled, reforming into a single figure hovering above the ground. The figure's voice echoed in the clearing. "You have strength, Alpha Queen, but do you have the heart to command it fully? The bond you share with your mate, can it withstand the test of destiny?" Luna's gaze swept the forest, landing on Kale. She saw his loyalty, his admiration, and the subtle trace of regret in his eyes. Their bond had been broken once, but it had endured, tested and tempered by their shared struggles. She nodded slightly, silver light glowing brighter as she addressed the ancient figure. "My heart is mine," she said. "My strength is mine. And those who stand with me, my pack, my allies, and my mate, stand because they choose to, not because they are forced. That is the true power of a Luna. That is the Alpha Queen." The figure tilted its head as if weighing her words. Then it surged forward, the final test beginning. Shadows formed into the shapes of the wolves and humans who had betrayed her, who had abandoned her, who had doubted her. Their eyes glowed with accusation, anger, and doubt. Luna's heart ached at the sight, but she stood firm. "You cannot control me," she said, voice steady. "You cannot break me. You are the past and I am the present. I am the Alpha Queen." Silver light flared, stronger than ever, sweeping through the clearing, scattering the shadows like mist in the morning sun. The echoes of betrayal, abandonment, and pain faded, replaced by clarity and strength. Luna's pack roared in unison, their loyalty unwavering, their energy flowing with hers. Kale's eyes shone with awe, and he reached for her hand, this time without hesitation, acknowledging that they were equals, allies, and partners in the path ahead. The figure paused, then slowly began to dissolve, its voice a whisper on the wind. "You have proven yourself, Luna. You are worthy. But remember, power without compassion and purpose is a shadow itself. Lead wisely, and you will be remembered for ages." The clearing was silent for a moment, the forest holding its breath. Then the wind shifted, the shadows receded, and the pulse of the forest returned to normal, acknowledging the rise of a new alpha. Luna lowered her hands, breathing deeply, feeling the energy settle into her, steady and balanced. Kyle stepped closer, his voice soft but full of admiration. "You have done it. You faced everything, the past, the darkness, the ancient power, and you emerged stronger than ever." Luna nodded, a faint smile on her lips. "We did it. Not just me, but all of us. My pack, you, even the forest itself. We faced it together." He reached for her hand again, and this time she did not hesitate. Their fingers intertwined, a silent acknowledgement that the bond between them had been reforged, not broken, not forced, but strengthened by trials, respect, and shared purpose. As dawn broke over the forest, the first rays of light catching on the silver cloak of the Alpha Queen, Luna looked out over her land. Her pack moved with purpose, the exiles now transformed into a disciplined, loyal force. The rivals who had mocked her, the shadows that had sought to test her, and the betrayal that had once consumed her, they all belonged to the past. She was not just a survivor anymore. She was a queen, a leader, and a legend in the making. Kale's voice broke her thoughts. "The world will know your name. They will speak of the Luna who rose from shadows and claimed her destiny." Luna turned to him, silver eyes meeting his. "And they will know that the Luna who was abandoned is no more. What remains is stronger, wiser, and unyielding. We lead together, Kale, not as mates bound by fate alone, but as allies, equals and protectors of all that we hold dear." The forest seemed to hum in agreement, the trees swaying as if acknowledging her words. the wind carrying the echo of her rise far beyond the valley. Luna's gaze swept over her pack one final time, feeling their loyalty, their trust, and the unbreakable bond that had formed in the fires of adversity. The silver light in her eyes glimmered brighter, reflecting the rising sun, a symbol of hope, power, and new beginnings. She had faced the past, conquered the shadows, and embraced her true self. The Luna who had been broken was gone forever. What remained was the Alpha Queen, feared, respected, and unstoppable. And as she stood at the edge of the cliff, Kale by her side, the forest alive with energy, Luna whispered a promise to herself and to all who followed her. I am the Alpha Queen. I rise from the shadows, and nothing will stand in my way. From the distant mountains to the deep valleys, the forest and the land itself seemed to respond. Whispers of her rise spread through the winds carried by the trees and the creatures who had witnessed it. Luna had claimed her destiny not through force alone, but through courage, wisdom, and unwavering heart. Her journey had begun in abandonment, sorrow and loss, but it ended in power, unity, and purpose. The Alpha Queen had risen, and the world, whether friend or foe, would never forget her name.